Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pink Nest Podcast. I'm having Geoff with me today. Geoff considers himself a family man, a coach, mental health first aider, YouTuber, podcaster, and music fanatic. Hi, Geoff. Welcome.
Hi, good to see you and lovely to be here.
Thank you.
And good description,
Uh,
by the way. Yeah, I like all that.
Great. Um, Usually we start at the very beginning. How was Jeff as a child?
Uh, I was I was brought up in what might might be seen as quite an idyllic childhood. So, I have one sister. I was brought up by the seaside in South Devon in the UK. Um, in a house pretty well in the woods overlooking the river, and went down to the sea every day, swimming as much as we could do. And yeah, it was a really pleasant family upbringing by the seaside. Very, very lucky.
That sounds very idyllic. Um, do you have any childhood memory? What did you want to be when you grow up?
Do you know what? I had no idea at all. My overriding passion from a very young age was music. Um, I then went through the usual education, started a degree, and then dropped out. I did a year's voluntary work when I left school in a residential school for autistic children. And then I went to do a degree in biology, but I really didn't like it. So I dropped out and fell into retail, where I stayed for many, many years, food retailing. It wasn't necessarily a choice. And well, it was a choice. I decided to do it. I had a great time. I had a very successful career, mainly around developing and helping people grow and giving them insights into what might be possible. And I guess it was a default. I was in my early 20s when I fell into retail, and I just stayed there because it was the easy thing to do. And the organisation I was with, it felt as though it was a number of different roles within the same organisation, and had a great time. I ended up looking after recruitment, succession planning, and development of the leadership and management of the organisation, which I was very passionate about. So one of my passions in life is people development, and the other is music.
Is this also the reason why you're a mentor? I guess, right?
Yeah. I'm now a full-time coach and mentor. I work with a wide range of people, quite a few in the music industry, but a lot outside the music industry. And I really love the opportunity to work with people and allow them to discover the person they really are inside, and release that and give them opportunities which they never thought was possible. So it's really rewarding. And the mentoring I've been doing recently has been predominantly with younger, well, not necessarily younger people, but quite a few young people. And it's just so nice to be able to give them maybe some opportunities that they possibly wouldn't have come across without the mentoring.
You've mentioned music and you're mentioning it also now. What is it about music that is so attractive to you? Is it events industry or just really purely music?
It's well, from a very young age, I've been passionate about music. I picked up instruments from a very young age. My father was loved music. He loved a bit of classical music and a bit of swing, Glenn Miller type things. For some reason or other, it became part of my DNA from a very young age. So I started playing piano, guitar, trumpet, violin from a very young age. Joined a band, or we created a band down in Devon and played to the Holidaymakers, and that stayed with me throughout my life. Uh, I go to gigs most weeks. Love discovering new music, and I think because it's a universal language, and it's very much a calmer, or it can be, uh, definitely brings people together, um, and it speaks to people of all ages, no matter who they are or where they are, it really is that universal language, which I absolutely love. And when I go to a gig, everybody's there for the same thing, and they're just part of a bigger being. It's just a vibration that goes throughout the whole audience.
Yeah, I agree. Favorite genre?
I don't have one. I'm currently into a lot of indie rock with a little bit of punk in it. I listen to such a wide variety. If I went up, I've got a room upstairs where I've got all my vinyl and my instruments, and I go up there and I listen to things. And if you looked across my vinyl, you would see there was no genre. It's pop, it's indie, it's folk. When I was young, I was in a folk band as well as being in a pop band. And then the artists I go and see are really very, very varied. I just enjoy discovering new music. I went to there's a venue in London called Coco. I was out last week to see a headline band. The first band on were amazing, and that's where I discover a lot of new music. They're just great, four young people singing their hearts out. There's only about 40 people in the audience when they came on, unfortunately, because it ended up being over 1,000. But it's just so exciting. Yeah.
And how do you feel attending gigs and music and the energy of events somehow feeds into your coaching and mentoring practice?
Yeah, I do speak to a lot of musicians. I coach a number of musicians, and it is a really tough business. I was talking to a manager in a very well-known management organization recently, and he called it brutal. It's really tough, no matter what level you may be working at. So you've probably seen that Lola Young recently's cancelled a series of gigs so she could look after her own health. And she's young. She's had a meteoric rise to fame, and it's caught up on her. And then you've got the young people who have dreams of achieving some sort of notoriety, and it's very often knockback after knockback. Even if you get signed to a label, there's no guarantee that it's going to go anywhere. So for me, talking about and exploring my mentees and coachees' mental health is just a part of what we do. I've always talked about mental health with the people I work with, and also friends and family, because my belief is that we need to talk about it. It's definitely more open than it used to be. There are still stigmas around it. There are still some barriers. It's good that more people are talking about it, and it's most definitely part of the conversations that I've always had with the people that I work with, as well as friends and family.
Yeah, it seems that your work is quite similar to mine as well, because I do come from events industry, spent there 11 years. And during COVID, started noticing the mental health decline. And I would agree with your colleague that it's a really brutal industry. I say it's ruthless industry. The artists are definitely one part of the story, and it is really hard out there. Crew working on events is also another level
Yeah.
of struggle for sure. And basically, the whole industry is based on freelancers, as you probably know. That adds another level of problem, because the stigma around mental health and well-being is just really big,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to talk about it, and the conversation is avoided. So I'm really with you on this one. We have to hold the space open and do talk about mental health issues, because they are on a rise. Really critical out there, I would say. How did you end up being mental health first aider?
I've always been fascinated by how we can look after our health in general, so physical and mental health. I was a Samaritan in the UK for several years. So I was on the phones for a number of years. And the training as a Samaritan is very intense. It's very in depth, and it gave me a lot of insights into looking after myself first, and then being able to listen to people, to understand, to ask good quality questions. So I was already on the path to having a fascination with looking after my own and other people's mental health. And then I do something for me every year. I learn something new every year for me. And it seemed probably 4 or 5 years ago now, I came across an organisation called Music Support. It's a music charity that helps people in the music industry look after their mental health. And they were doing an online mental health first aid course. I think it was maybe been during COVID, actually, first year of COVID. So I did that. And it was a great experience. Amazing tutor, lovely people that I worked with, and it gave me some more tools and techniques to build on the tools and techniques I'd gained from the Samaritans, and it also enabled me to start using them in my coaching and mentoring where it was appropriate. Did my refresher about 18 months ago, and the organisation that I did my refresher with is a great organisation. They deliver regular webinars, so I keep things up to date by attending webinars, reading. I have a whole load of newsletters about mental health. There's an American organisation called Backline. Just got their newsletter this morning, and it's just really good to keep up to date. So that's how I came to be a mental health first aider, and it stood me in very good stead along with all the other learnings that I had over quite a few years.
It's either you're following my steps or I'm following yours, because I did the same course with music support.
Did you?
And I received the newsletter today morning from Backline.
Oh, there you go. Synergies. These vibrations are meant to be. It really is. You know, the world is just full of vibrations, and the more we can connect those vibrations together and work together as teams, the better, really.
Absolutely. And I also think that we have to stick together, because people that are trying to make a change in this crazy world are priceless.
Yeah, and every little thing helps. Every conversation, everybody we meet, if we can have not necessarily a serious, in-depth conversation about mental health, but at least touch on it and see what we can do to help each other. It's around mutual support.
Absolutely. And definitely also to all our listeners, mental health first aid course, it's priceless, and you should take a look in it. If you can take it, do it. There are also subsidized versions, and yeah, do take a look. It's really worth it.
Yeah, and just to say the the supporting resources, if viewers, listeners do decide to do mental health first aid, are great. There's a whole load of online resources, as well as all the workbooks, and it is always there at your fingertips. Some really good apps with resources in there.
What would you advise our listeners and viewers would be one small routine, for example, that protects your mental energy? It's either physical or scheduling or something.
For me, the most important and easily accessible is breathing. So I meditate every day. I breathe in, I breathe out, I follow the breath. So I do that every day. What I usually take, because I run a number of team coaching programs as well as one-to-one mentoring and coaching, and we always cover something called box breathing, which if you go to BAPAM's website, that's BAPAM, British Association of Performing Arts and Medicine, and look at box breathing, and it's a very easy, straightforward way of, if needs be, calming yourself down. It's a series of four breaths, in and out, and holding. and it's very powerful. And the feedback I've had from some of the participants on my programs that have learnt this, they've used it for themselves, but they've also used it. There was one guy and his sister was getting married, and she was so anxious, and he said, hey, let's just go through this box breathing, and it just calmed everything down. So our breathing is one of the most powerful tools we have. Highly recommend that you practice. It seems crazy because breathing is something we all do all the time, but breathing in through your nostrils right down into your belly rather than chest breathing, and doing some exercises around that is really, really powerful.
Yeah, and it's also that people usually think that if you want to do something, you need to learn from I don't know many courses, whatever. But usually solutions are really simple. Like you said, breathing, something that we all do. You just need to tailor it to work for you. And box breathing is definitely a really great exercise. You've mentioned coaching and that you are coaching people from creative industry, but also corporate clients. Is there any difference in the approach?
People are people. I find it difficult to differentiate between one client and another. And whilst I guess the people in the music industry, most of the people I work with are independent. They're not signed to labels, and they're on their own. They have very little backup. Sometimes they don't have a lot of people to talk to. They are finding their way through a very complex industry on their own, because DIY in the music industry has become more and more prevalent. I only work with small corporates anyway, so I don't work with large corporates. I prefer to work with small organizations. At least in small organizations, the people that come on the programs have some sort of backup. They have some policies, procedures, probably got an HR department or something like that. And sometimes the organizations have a small welfare department, whereas for people in the music industry, and it's not just musicians, it could be sound engineers, it could be tech, all sorts of different people, touring crew. Most are self-employed, and I guess that's probably the key differentiator, is that backup resource may not be there, and they depend on people like you and me and the great number of amazing organizations in the music industry out there that they can go to for support, like Help Musicians UK, for instance, and music support, of course.
Yeah, this is definitely something that I'm really happy about, seeing all these organizations pop up and people also understanding what they offer, and that they actually the teams that they can turn for help. It's been really beneficial, and I love the progress that's been made, because I think that prior to pandemic, it was really scarce. There were not a lot of organizations offering support. But during the pandemic, we've figured actually how vulnerable we are in the industry. If you were having one advice for for um, for organizers, for example, organizers of events, what would be your advice to advise them making the events industry or organization be more kinder and calm?
Can I have two pieces of advice? The first one would be to make sure that your venue is fully accessible. I work with a number of people with visible and invisible disabilities, and a lot of venues, whether it's festivals or physical venues, are still a real challenge for both the audience and the artists. And there's probably, in my experience, not enough effort put into that. It could make a massive difference to so many people, just to be able to get in and out of a venue really easily at the beginning. And if it's a gig, for instance, looking at how they vacate the building, which can be just like a mad rush. And for people who maybe have some mental health issues, it can be quite a scary experience. So number one is accessibility, and then the second would be some sort of a safe space, a quiet space. And I get that a lot of venues are very, very small anyway. If it were possible to create even a little bit of space with a couple of chairs, which is signposted for people just to be in. I remember going to a gig in Nottingham with my niece, and she was going through a few things at the time, and there was really nowhere to go. And it was quite a large venue, but eventually we took her outside. It was too much at the time. So I know some events are now putting on this safe space. I know that music support do provide safe spaces, as are a few others. I think it would be really helpful for it to be more widespread.
Yeah, that's also something that we are trying to do with our Calmness Collective. We're supplying calmness spaces, and I agree with you. Some kind of sensory room really belongs everywhere, because music events, but not just music events, events in general, even a conference, for example, can be absolutely overwhelming. And for neurodivergent people, even more. So it's such a must. Thank you for pointing this out. I think it's really important bit. Is there something else that you would like to share with our listeners? Giving you the floor.
I could talk for hours about things that would be helpful for them. I think.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I've got 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, top of the list, look after yourself. It's a little bit like being on an aircraft and they say put your own oxygen mask on before you look after anybody else. So do what is right for you every day to look after yourself. And that includes physical and mental health. So the three fundamentals: eat, move, sleep. So get enough sleep. Move in the best way that you can do, and eat good quality product. That will set you up really, really well. And then sort of linked in with looking after yourself is to recognize what an amazing person you are. We very often have these voices in our heads saying, you're not good enough, or why did you do that, or how did you do that? And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I can't remember how it came up, but what we were saying was, if we spoke to somebody else the way we speak to ourselves sometimes, we'd be absolutely appalled. So just think about those voices in your head and give yourself a pat on the back. Celebrate what you do. One of the other things I do, just as a by the by, is I do a gratitude journal every day. I write down at least 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I've been doing it for years. And sometimes it's a little bit challenging in the early days. Now I have to stop myself from writing things that I'm grateful for, just like being able to sit in the garden or go for a walk or smell newly mown grass. I've got running tap water. I can go to a shop and get some food. I've got a roof over. All these things, very often in the pace of life, we get caught up in stuff, and just slowing down and recognizing there's a whole load of good stuff out there, and there's good people that will help you get through the tough times. You're not alone. And the first person to start with, going full circle, is yourself, and making sure that you are fit to help other people.
I love those. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that we'll find it very inspiring. Um, I would just like to say thank you for taking the time to being our guest. It was a really lovely conversation and so much meaningful stuff coming out of it. Thank you so much, Geoff.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute joy. And if somebody takes away one thing from our conversation that makes their life better in some way, then good job, well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.